Hello there. How much more data is needed before our government admits there's a problem and gets the science properly investigated? More and more evidence is emerging of the massive harms that a certain procedure has caused, and still governments around the world close ranks and protect Big Pharma. And there's even a study that shows that kids who've received that treatment suffer more from allergies, eczema and learning disabilities than those that haven't. And when the ONS data came out recently, one doctor said there were major flaws in the data and that it needed to be retracted and corrected. But I, of course, can't go into too much detail for obvious reasons, because the shutters of censorship still cover the whole topic. And the very flawed and mistaken argument for covering it all up seems to be that if we question the scientists and Big Pharma and they are found to be wrong, then no one will ever trust them again. So we must protect their reputations and money at all costs, to our own health and wealth if needed. That if we found them to be wrong on just about every scientific response to the medical emergency that was made, then the population would never take any instructions or medication or allow their offspring to do so either, ever again. So they've decided they must make the people trust the system, whatever the outcomes. And one example of this is a court in Israel ordering its health ministry to release the agreement it had with a big pharma company. And the released document was basically completely blanked out. The new transparency. And now we hear about a bird flu scare. Do the powers that be and those that would profit from a rerun really think the general populace are ready to meekly repeat the previous episode? But they think we might have no choice if the government goes ahead and implements the plan to hand over the whole country's response to the next emergency to the World Health Organization, and then just send the police and troops in to enforce it all, and then stop people leaving their homes or maybe even getting food unless they comply and roll up their sleeves every couple of months. And don't think there won't be a lot of brainless, compliant people out there with authoritarian-type syndromes who would all line up to take taxpayers' money and be ready to do the government's bidding. Seconds out to round one. Get ready for the boxing event of the year. GB News is set to bring you the thriller by the river. Yes, Tory MP 30p Lee Anderson is facing the turkey in the topper Steve Bray in an epic that is being described by many boxing pundits as the greatest jelly versus blancmange epic of the decade. Not so much a Titanic rumble as handbags at dawn. And in the blue corner we have 30p Lee the Annihilator Anderson, and in the red corner is the turkey in the topper Steve Bruiser Bray. Now there have been some safety concerns regarding the physical state of these two fine specimens of humanity, and it has been suggested that instead of 3-minute rounds and 1-minute breaks in between, that we have 1-minute rounds and 3-minute breaks. And doctors are concerned that they won't actually be able to tell the difference if one of them gets concussed. But the stakes are high. If Bruiser Bray wins, then the Annihilator has to stand down as an MP. And if Anderson wins, then the Bruiser has to retire his megaphone and give up anti-Brexit campaigning. So are you ready for the thriller by the river? Or will it just be tumbleweeds by the Thames? Richard.
The completely Environment Secretary, Theresa Coffey, has offered her words of wisdom to those that are struggling to buy food. Coffey said they should work more hours or upskill themselves to get a better job so that they can then afford food. Well, if you ever wanted to know how disconnected this government is from the people, there it is for you, laid on a plate. So, Here is my advice to Theresa Coffey. Listen now, you moronic. Try living in the real world, where people struggle to just get by. People that are already working way too many hours because of a rigged system that your government sustains, designed to extract the wealth of the many and hand it to the few. The working class, the middle class, and all means of professional people are now struggling. And that's the very best you can come up with. You complete... Just step aside and get out of politics. Oh, and you said that everyone should turn to turnips with our food shortages. I will not take dietary advice from you, you... Jeff.
Oh, you're gonna like this one. Unless you're a UK-hating Ramona, that is, because it looks like the UK will dodge going into recession this winter. But Germany is looking like it won't. In fact, it looks worse for Germany than initially thought. According to estimates, Germany's economy shrank by 0.2% in the last quarter of 2022. But the official figures now say it was 0.4%, twice as bad as predicted. So despite all the forecasters like the IMF and our own Bank of England saying that the UK economy would fare the worst, it looks like we might come out slightly ahead. And it's these forecasts from the likes of the Office for Budget Responsibility, for example, that over-egged our predicted deficit rises that end up dictating how the government responds to the changing economic situation. Much like following the science in other matters like health emergencies and net zero. Richard.
Hello, and here I am at West Kennet Longbarrow, and behind me is Silbury Hill, and in this shot here you'll see where Rishi Sunak was, where he was actually born. He was born right there. Yes, and this is where he took his first footsteps. And here is where he learned to fly when he flapped his wings after his feathers came in. Enough already. Had to end that video because I was talking at a... And speaking of talking at a... I just ask that you are made aware of fake commentators pretending to be Jeff and myself. And many of you know these individuals are active in the comment section. It happens on all YouTube channels and it is usually done by trolls with micro... So if you're unsure of who has replied to your comment or made a comment, just follow their profile to their own YouTube channel to see what videos they have posted and the dates posted in order to establish if they are fake or not. But hey-ho, that's the internet for you. And right now, there are a lot of people out there who would like Jeff and myself to shut up. And that tells us we are doing something very right to upset these people. These people may miss the days of when Jeff and I did a half-hour video on the plans of the dastardly EU to tax geraniums, but the world has now changed.